Yes, I'm from elementary education. I'm sure many of you use discussion as part of your everyday class with face-to-face students. And I've encountered a few problems with that, and maybe you have too. So some of the scenarios may sound familiar to you. And so when students come in and you have a question that you're phrasing to them, who are they typically discussing with? So who would they most likely discuss with? So if I gave you a question and said, take a minute or two and discuss, who would you be discussing it with? Your neighbor, right? And many of you in a room like this may have sat down next to someone that you already know. And so oftentimes the instructor is left wondering, well, how much of this conversation is actually based on my prompt or if it's what's happening outside of the classroom, okay? And so I've thought through this, and I have a couple of different ways in which I try to encourage group discussion beyond proximity. So beyond those who you're simply starting with. And it all begins with paper plate. And so my first strategy is called make a date. I don't know if anyone's familiar with this. I can't claim ownership of it. But make a date is a strategy in which I would give you a paper plate. And on that paper plate, you're going to make a clock. Okay? And so the clock with all the hour hands on it. And then, this typically occurs on the first day of class. I use it as almost an icebreaker. And so I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes. And some of you are probably shaking your fist at me when I say icebreaker, because I know some are not crazy about icebreakers. But during this time, you're going to go around and you're going to find 12 people in which you can make a date with. All right? And so if I'm looking for a date, for my 1 o'clock, I'm going to go up to someone who has a 1 o'clock free. And so I might say, do you happen to have 1 o'clock free for a date? And you would most likely say yes or no. And if she says, yes, she has it free, and I have 1 o'clock free, we can make a date. If she has someone for her 1 o'clock, I can't use her. So the idea is I go around and I make 12 dates. And so hopefully this is all filled up. And then afterwards, the instructor, which would be me, I'm going to facilitate discussion not just on that day, but throughout the semester. So I'm going to use this plate, I'm going to use these dates that they've come up with as my prompt. And so I'll go back to it in my discussion. So let's say I phrase a discussion question. I may then say, find your 3 o'clock partner to discuss. Or I might start the class saying, sit with your 3 o'clock partner, sit with your 6 o'clock partner. And I can make it, well, let me back up a step. So that occurs on the first day. They're not going to keep these plates. Most likely they're going to get lost. So what I encourage them to do is take a picture of their plate. They will have their phones with them. So when they come back, and so if I can't remember who that partner is, I can always refer back to my phone and hopefully my partner is there. In a group like this, I think you could fill up your dates relatively easy. But if you have a smaller class, you can simply use 12, 3, 6, and 9. And that can be your system for finding a date. I shared this example with a book club group, and one of the other members of the group said, it sounds a lot like a dance card. And I've never used a dance card, but I thought that would be a great way of essentially using this same idea. I come from an elementary background. This is very elementary centered. But I like music in the classroom, and I thought, wow, what a great way. I could use a song, and instead of saying, meet with your 3 o'clock partner, the song would cue you to who your actual partner was. And so I thought that was a great adaptation of it. A couple other brief ones. This is one, and again, I use this throughout the semester, and I can come back with it on a daily basis, however often. I'm also probably known as my students as maybe a wannabe magician. It seems as if I always have props with me. One of them are cards. I use cards a lot for grouping because they're very easy to come up with numbers. And so I can ahead of time, let's say I've got 18 students, I can just simply dole out 3 cards each. If I have an odd number, let's say there's actually 19 in the class and I want groups, I'll throw a joker in there, and then that person can join any group for a discussion or a group activity. I've also used yarn, different sizes of yarn, so I'll have a jar full of yarn, and as they come in, they'll pick out a string, and then when it comes to time to discuss, they'll sit with that person who has a similar string with them. Rocks, this is my Survivor and encouraged theme, so I'm a big fan of the show Survivor, so we'll draw rocks occasionally too, and the color of rocks will be your partner. Same thing can be used with marbles. And then the general idea with this is moving beyond the proximity. So I'm sitting down with my friends and hopefully encouraging discussion with those that I might not seek on a regular daily basis. and then also seeing and hearing those different perspectives throughout the semester in the class, as opposed to that one person I sit next to every day. Thank you.